everybody, this is Ben for the Blue Monday podcast with another BlueTube video. I have just witnessed Mick McCarthy's press conference pre-Crystal Palace tomorrow in the Carabao Cup, and it was extremely revealing in that Mick is going to put out pretty much an entire kids team, give or take one or two players. He was very forthcoming with what's going to happen. He says Bart took a knock, Ward got a kick in the calf, McGoldrick's wife is expecting, and he claims that with 8 first team players fit only, none of them are going to be involved. He added, if you're coming, I'm not going to apologise because I have to do it. You're going to see the kids tomorrow, and added it was certainly going to be the youngest team he's ever fielded, and looking at it as a test of the young players' character. He's not sacrificing the cup for the league, he's sacrificing it for the good of the health of the players. Obviously, he still wants to win, but not at the risk of the players. So it brings up the debate we've had the past few seasons about resting players and taking people out. I think the difference this time more than the previous seasons, first of all, the injury crisis gives him a ready-made excuse. If you look at it, Dazelle, first teamer, Hughes, possible first teamer, Adeyemi, Smith, Chambers, who's the other defender who's out? I'm getting a mind blank. Webster. So that's the first thing that he can argue, look, I can't afford anyone else. The other thing to argue is he's actually got something to rest them for now, because they're doing so well in the league. You know, you can make the point that, well, before, why not try and just play the game and get a win and see if that improves things, whereas you can't improve on 4 out of 4 wins in the league and 100%. Bad news again, I guess we have this every time on the injury front. Hughes has had some kind of setback. Mick said he was assuming it was the Achilles still, but didn't know as he hadn't checked it out with the physio. Didn't put any kind of time scale on it. I guess if he's not playing on Tuesday, then he won't be around on Saturday. So it could just be the squad compared in the QPR game on September the 9th compared to Fulham on August 26th could be vastly different. There could be 6 or 7 players back. Fingers crossed. The big hints he did make, he said Downs was definitely playing, Gherkin would be captain, Nydam will definitely play. He praised Adam McDonnell, so that will be a big hint. And when Phil from TWTD asked him about McLaughlin and Patterson, he said they're not with the under-23s, so some kind of confirmation they'll play. He said you can take it one of 2 ways if you're those players. Either the gaffer's not bothered about the game or it's a good opportunity. And he said hopefully someone will shine and become a first-team player. He added it puts more pressure on Palace if they see our lineup and don't win. Not so sure about that, but Palace need a result, and maybe he'll change the team when he sees this. Off the top of my head, you're going to be looking at Gherkin in goal. Across the back, something like Wolfenden, Fowler, Webber will be one of the fullbacks. Don't know what else. Midfield, Downs, Nydam. McDonald may be able to play left, McLaughlin may be able to play wide. Selina could play wide, but it would probably be up front with Patterson. Something along those lines, although I'm still a bit stuck for one more defender there. So have a good look through the under-23 squad and see if you can figure it out. Going back to the Brentford game, he said that he was actually quite comfortable with his back 4 as it was Brentford, and they wouldn't be facing an aerial onslaught, and that he was happy with mobile fullbacks. So, you know, being a bit wise after the event. On the back 4, though, he said they will not be changed against Fulham. So, big hint there. I'd be bonkers if I changed that. He said Spencer stepped up. Knudsen, I've always said, could be a left-sided centre-back, and Kenlock had his best game by miles. His pre-season hasn't been as good as he'd expected, but he did well. So that's a big hint for the Fulham game, that the back 5, you're going to get Bart, Spence, Knudsen centre halves and Kenlock and Iorfa. In fact, you might well, yeah, looking at it, I think you're very, very likely to get exactly the same team that played Brentford, looking at all that. So, looks like nobody's coming in for Saturday. He's kind of gone from, we'll definitely need someone to, we might not have someone by Monday to, why would I change the back four? That would be bonkers. He says, I don't see why I would. Whether he's got new info on the missing guys, whether he knows that Smith or Chambers or whoever's only going to be out the next game, that might have changed it. And then he did add at the end, moving forward, I still need one, which kind of links in. He was spotted at a game in Sweden and gave absolutely nothing away about that. Gave a very comical answer about his flights and what he had for lunch and whatnot. So no meat on the bone there for a possible player playing in that game in Sweden, maybe coming in and being a squad player there. Was asked about Selena being frustrated at not playing. He said he'd send him a copy of the league table. He said he hasn't been moaning and frustrated, but kind of put it out to all his players that the way to affect it is with his feet, and that it was a big custard pie for anybody who kind of went around moaning about it. So I don't know if that's anything towards maybe Pittman last season or Benyu, who knows. He praised, as usual, Chambers, Sears and Skews as examples for anyone not in the team to follow, as in doing their job, and particularly with Sears and Chambers doing what they're asked, whether it's their preference or not. And the more I think about it with Skews as well, seeing Skews this season, feels like maybe he was doing something last year he wasn't comfortable doing, and you see other people making the play this year and it all looks a lot more comfortable for him. Asked on the start and why it's happened, he joked about lulling everybody in with the 6-1 against Charlton, put it down to good recruitment, characters and the difference of putting the ball in the net, and really singled out Waghorn and Garner. Talked about the flip side of the injury crisis, saying that might kind of tighten up the squad, different players adding different energy. Would not be drawn on the idea of finishing above Norwich. Got asked about the Man United League Cup game and their last season, and then waffled on about Wolves playing Man United. So surprised nobody had the balls to correct him on that they were talking about a different game. But there you go, Mick can be intimidating, can't he? And just to finish, he added about Adeyemi. Seems to have kind of switched his story on this about this has turned from a sickness bug to a calf injury. I mean, that could have happened, but I don't know what point it changed. On Bishop's surgery, he said, we know he's a good player, but he has to prove that on the pitch, and he's been unlucky. And confirmed that it's been different injuries every time, not a recurrence of kind of the same one. So the big question will still be ahead of tomorrow. Is Mick doing the right thing, sacrificing all of these first team players? Some people will still argue, don't do it. There's only 2 more games to get through, and then they get a naturally programmed rest from August 26th through to September the 9th. But the flip side of it is he's done so well. He's won all the games. He's protecting that Fulham game. He's got lots of injuries. I've seen both sides of it on Twitter, but I think most people are falling in the he's pretty justified in what he's doing this time. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm kind of buying it, as long as it's not embarrassing tomorrow. Move on to Fulham with hopefully a slightly fitter squad. I say a fitter squad. Who's actually going to come back from Brentford to Fulham? I don't really think anybody is, so we'll see about that. But we'll see you at Crystal Palace tomorrow night. As I say, hopefully it won't be too heavy a defeat, and there'll be some positives to look on. Please subscribe here, my Benjamin Bloom YouTube channel. Listen to the podcast that's out today, Blue Monday podcast on Acast and iTunes. Just type that in. Good show about last week's games, and obviously 3 shows per week on there. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom, and let me know your opinion on this team selection and how to get to the end of the Fulham game and, God forbid, pick up another win. Let me know what you think. See you soon.